everyone, a Complex back with another video, and today I wanted to chitter chat with you lovely people about Cyberpunk 2077. It's kind of the hottest, most talked about game coming out of E3, and I figured we should talk about it. We'll talk about what I know about it, and then maybe you could tell me what you know about it down in the comments below, or I don't know, social media, the blog. I don't know, say hi. Tell me what you think about what we've heard so far. Um, I'm just really excited for this game. I think we're gonna all have a blast playing it whenever it comes out, because nobody even knows when it comes out, and people are already this hyped for it. It is gonna be a long wait. I said it, a long wait, but that's besides the point. Let's get into chatting about everything that we know about Cyberpunk 2077 to date. While that happens, though, I am gonna play some Destiny 2 because why? I don't know. I wanted to play Destiny too. Don't hate on a girl for wanting to shoot things and do public of shit. Let's just get into the video, okay? Okay. Awesome. Before we really dive into Cyberpunk 2077, we should probably just talk about cyberpunk as a whole. Cyberpunk is a genre. In case some people didn't know, I didn't know that until I started researching this. It kind of reminds me of steampunk, but with technology, techie stuff. But cyberpunk is supposed to be this mix of kind of like low life meets high tech. It's kind of got this like street level, darker, noir vibe to it, if you will. That's kind of like the cyberpunk genre. So kind of think like 80s mixed with like a whole bunch of high tech kind of thing. That's cyberpunk. And so in the 80s there was the cyberpunk and cyberpunk 2020 were created, and those were tabletop games. And within the lore of those tabletop games and the characters and the classes and stuff like that came about Cyberpunk 2077, which is really cool. I'm actually really excited to see how a tabletop game eventually translates into a full-blown CDPR RPG. It's going to be crazy awesome. But some things that you might want to know about Cyberpunk 2077. First off, your favorite media people, like YouTubers and stuff like that, and also streamers, if they were at E3, chances are they've seen Cyberpunk. I know. Let that sink in for a moment. Yeah, I know how you feel. It hurts. I know, but it's alright. We'll get to see it soon. CDPR said soon, and by soon I'm guessing like maybe next year kind of thing. I'm keeping expectations low. So in that way, when they drop stuff on us sooner than next year, I'll be really excited. That's healthy, right? Yeah. But they did see 50 minutes-ish of gameplay. I think some people got to play the game just a little. And everything that is coming out of that very private screening room is nothing but praise. Every single person that walked out was just floored and amazed and excited, and I haven't really heard one real complaint. Which is hilarious because this was not supposedly ready for us, which I totally understand, but it does kind of amuse me that everybody's like, oh my god, this was so awesome, blah, 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 and CDPR's like, but it's not ready for the general public, and it's like, how much more awesome is this going to be if already what you showed is like a gazillion times awesome? You know? Think about that for a moment. Yeah. Right? I know. So, outside of the fact that your favorite streamers and YouTubers and stuff have gotten to see Cyberpunk 2077 potentially. Outside of that, you should know Cyberpunk is going to be a highly customizable, super immersive RPG experience set in a cyberpunk surrounding situation, universe, however you want to phrase it. This is a first-person game, which is definitely a deviation from The Witcher 3 and just The Witcher games in general. But I'm excited to see how a first-person game kind of translates. I do know that CDPR said they wanted to do a first-person perspective game because they wanted this to feel as immersive as possible. And you probably wouldn't get quite the idea of size and scale and the importance of certain places or how crowded something was or how big something was unless it was in first person. which is kind of interesting because Anthem, that's being developed by BioWare, they've got the same philosophy going. When you're in the single player areas, it's all first person because they wanted you to get the size and scope and the feel of either a tighter space or something really important, or when you walk up to your javelin, they want you to understand how big it is and in what you're actually piloting. So it's interesting to see that two of my favorite RPG studios, or just gaming studios in general, are kind of treading along the same vein. I am kind of curious if we're going to see this more and more as a trend as time goes on, or if this is just kind of like everybody's experimenting, or if pretty soon we'll maybe get experiences where we're going to toggle between both a little bit more like BGS does. But I am excited to see how this is going to feel, if it's going to feel even more immersive or if it's going to feel claustrophobic or what. But the one thing I'm not worried about is just the quality of the first person experience. I know a lot of people get like motion sickness and this and that, but I mean, you've seen The Witcher 3. There's nothing to be worried. I would not be worried at all about this first person experience. I'd be excited. And if you are somebody that is not a fan of first person, before you completely write this game off, I'd say to wait and see what gameplay we're getting, like what gameplay they show ahead of time. And then also, once your favorite streamers they start streaming the game when it comes out, whenever it comes out, kind of judging it that way, seeing what their experiences are, especially if they're not normally fans of first person. And that way you get just a really good grasp of it overall, and then you can make your decision on whether or not it's the game for you. So diving in a little bit more to the game itself, the original tabletop game had about 9 what they called roles. They're what we know as like classes. And within that, Cyberpunk 2077 is going to come with 3 playable classes. And those are going to be the Netrunner, Solo, and Techie. And the Wikia for Cyberpunk 2077 has some information on those classes. I will link that down below if it's something that you're interested in reading up on. And before I talk a little bit more about what classes we're getting and stuff like that, I did want to mention, I feel like I heard some of the people that we'll be meeting in the world will be some of the other 6 classes that were in the game. It's just that we're not getting those as playable. I do wonder if maybe it'll get expanded upon in the future. I doubt it, but you know, I mean, it's CDPR. Anything's possible, right? Yeah, all right. So like I said, 3 classes we are getting, and within those 3 classes, you can intermix them and play a pure Netrunner, or a pure Solo, or a pure Techie, or you could mix all 3, or you could be a Netrunner Solo, or a Techie Solo, or a Netrunner Techie. Whatever you wanted. This is leaving you open for oodles of customization and replayability, which is really, really nice. And I am curious to see how this is going to play a role into how people treat you. If the classes are more just kind of traditional classes, like it's how you level up and it's how you're going to get more powerful as far as like combat and stuff like that, or if it's also going to have a social consequence slash advantage to it, depending on what you choose. I'm really excited to see how that's going to play out within the narrative. And speaking of the classes, there's also something within the game called Street Cred, which, given the setting of the game, I'm guessing it's exactly how it sounds. It's your street cred. And depending on your street cred, I've heard that the more street cred that you have, the more like exclusive vendors and gear you'll have access to. And I am curious to see how our street cred is going to affect the narrative, whether or not it's going to open up or close certain dialogue options, whether or not it's going to change how people treat you. Maybe it'll be easier to earn trust, or maybe it'll be harder to earn trust from somebody depending on who they are. And I'm really excited to see how that plays. And I'm also excited to see how your class plus your street cred kind of play together, and if they are actually going to kind of be interwoven, or if they're just more 2 separate parts of it. And then from there, you should know that you are playing as V, as in the letter V, and you get to play as a male or a female, which is pretty cool. And within that, it is extremely customizable. I've heard thus far about how your V is going to look. It's CDPR, so I'm kind of expecting nothing but awesomeness. I know that's putting a pretty high expectation on the game, but I think I'm just so excited that I'm just expecting, awesomeness. And also, on top of how you look in the game, you are going to be able to customize your backstory and stuff like that, which I think is really interesting. And so from there, I'm really curious to see what class you pick plays a part in what your backstory is, like whatever backstory you pick, and how all of that will intermingle within each other. So it's sounding like between the fact that you have like backstories that you can choose from, you have the 3 different classes, you've got the street cred, there is so much customization and replayability within all of that. You can tailor your V to be whoever you want within this world, which I think is incredible. And it's lending to be kind of like that RPG experience that we've all been waiting for forever. You know, I'm ready. Um, and I know some of you are thinking, but wait, you said the game was in first person, but my character is completely customizable. And CDPR did make the distinction on the Cyberpunk2077 Twitter account that it is a first person RPG. It is not a first person shooter. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't look at it like a Destiny or any other shooter that's in the first person perspective continually. It will have some cutscenes, I believe, in third person, so you can see your character. You'll be able to see your character in when you're looking at your inventory, stuff like that. And I'm guessing, it's not confirmed, do not quote me on this, this is me speculating, but we'll probably be able to see our reflection and things, so mirrors, car windows, stuff like that. So you'll be able to see your character, I feel like, in a variety of ways. So you're still going to feel like you can identify with them and really craft them to be who you want them to be. Speaking of cars, it's true. Cars are drivable. Confirmed. I'm ready. I'm ready to see how a car goes. Oh, I'm excited. And speaking of cars and driving, the combat system in this game is both melee and guns. And you remember the really cool original trailer, teaser trailer, I guess we'll call it, that came out? If not, I'm going to also link that down below. That really cool teaser trailer had these 2 like daggery things that kind of came out of her arms. And apparently those are in some form in the game. Like, there's that kind of melee combat. So I'm excited. And gunplay. CDPR did a pretty decent job with The Witcher 3 combat, so I'm interested to see how that is going to translate into gun combat, especially first-person gun combat, because I like a really crisp, gunplay. So I'm excited to dive in and see how that all's gonna go. Let's see what else. Oh, I haven't talked to you about like one of the coolest parts for me, which is weird. Megaplexes are a thing. I don't know if there's one megaplex or multiple megaplexes, but CDPR mentioned a megaplex, which is a huge hub that's going to have like stories, missions you're going to be able to explore. I'm guessing vendors and stuff, but all I can picture in my head is like this huge mall that's like just straight up. But I'm pretty excited to see how that's going to go, and like if the different levels are going to represent different things, this and that, or different like classes of people, or you know what I mean? It just sounds like it's going to be a really neat area to explore. And if it's as cool as it's sounding, I'm probably going to spend an ungodly amount of time exploring them. Or it, depending on if there's more than one. Also, if you are pumped for this game, I did want to mention that they have wallpapers and or desktop wallpapers and mobile wallpapers on the Cyberpunk2077 Twitter account. And I will link that account down below just so you can follow them super easy. But if you are super pumped, you can go down and just scroll down their Twitter account. I believe they released one not too long ago, and then some of them during E3, and then the mobile wallpapers were kind of in the middle, so you might have to scroll a little bit to find them, but they're definitely there. So that kind of concludes everything I wanted to cover about Cyberpunk 2077. There is a plethora of information, especially from the people that got to see some of that secret gameplay footage. Cyberpunk on the Twitter account has done a very good job of retweeting a lot of it. So if you kind of scroll through their Twitter account, you should hopefully be able to find some articles if you're interested in knowing more. I'm also sure if you search the various sources that were at E3, you can probably pull some of the Cyberpunk interviews to watch. There were quite a few of them. So if you need more information because they just can't get enough, which I don't blame you. I mean, I've seen a lot of it. I still can't get enough. It's all there for you to enjoy. But other than that, tell me your thoughts on Cyberpunk 2077. Are you excited to play when it eventually comes out? Because we still have no idea when it comes out. Are you not looking forward to it? Are you nervous, excited? Tell me in the comments below, or I don't know, social media. We could be friends and we could talk about it there, crazy stuff like that. But otherwise, I'm going to see y'all in the next video. Bye!